Hello my friend, ready for today's movie recap? Because you are going to watch something great, so get yourself a drink and something to eat. Let's start the fun. Our film begins in the distant future, in which people have been genetically engineered so that a person will die after the age of 25 in 1 year only. And the currency in this time has become the time with which you can buy everything you need for living. And this causes the poor to die quickly. And at the hands of every human being you will find an hour by the age of each person you start working after the age of 25. Not only that but growth stops at that age and depends on the time to live your life. The person in front of you is called Will. His age has exceeded 25 years. He works as a technician in a factory with difficulty. He can find time to live. One day after the end of his work period, he goes to entertain himself a little with his friends in a bar. And while he is sitting, a person his age comes inside the bar more than a century ago. This group of people is not normal to come to the slums. While everyone was amazed to see this person, and we did not complete the word, a gang came that wanted to kill this person by stealing a Umrah watch. And by the way, this person is called Henry, and this man told him that unfortunately he lost a person dear to him from the poor, and that caused him great misery. And he became critical of his way of distributing age and time depend on people, and here Will wants to help this man and escape from the place as quickly as possible so that the gang does not kill him. Henry did not care about what happened, and Will told him that he could not let anyone die in front of his eyes. And the second day in the morning, Henry decided to thank Will for the help and decided to give him his whole life, and gave him his whole life except 5 minutes so that he would sit at the nearest bridge and throw himself in the water to commit suicide. And after a while, Will woke up and saw his watch by 116 years. He knew that Henry committed suicide and gave him what was left of his entire time. All along, Will decided to go to a friend and tell him everything that happened. And he gave him 20 years of his time as a gift from him, and he went to look for his mother in order to entertain her and go out to enjoy their lives. But at that moment Will's mother was out of work, and during the transportation she noticed that she had an hour and a half left only at her age, and that is not enough to reach the house. Will noticed his mother's delay and went to look for her, and found her running to reach him, but the moment he touched her hands, her watch had run out of time and she had died. And a dead person, you cannot give him your life at all. After a while, Will decided to leave the city in which he lives and go to a place called New Gender, which you can say is for the rich only, and so that he knows how to pay him about a year and 3 months of his life. He went there to take revenge on all the rich by taking all their time. And the reason for that is that the rich give poor salaries to workers, and that is what caused his mother's death because of her lack of time. Will thought and risked the time he had and decided to go to the gambling halls. And in the meantime, Will was very keen to play with the rich until the game ended, and he has 11 years on his watch. And throughout his life, Will has never had that long before. And among the rich, the one Will met was a person named Flip White, who had a daughter named Sylvia, and from Will's looks, it was evident that he was very impressed with her. After the end of the game, Philip was impressed by Will's thinking and the way he played and his intention to ally him in his palace. The second day, Will went and got to know everyone, and again after a while Will and Sylvia fell in love with her. But before we continue with Will, let me tell you about very important details. First, a policeman named Ray. This person responsible for the time crimes. Ray was looking for Will to arrest him on charges of theft, because Ray was aware of Henry's real age, and that his death was not natural. And the policeman noticed on Henry's body that his watch had only zeros, and in the event of death, the time also appears on the dead person's watch, and not many zeros. He kept following Will, spending all the time, and was with him step by step, until one day Ray found him in Philip's house, so he went to arrest him, and when he arrived, he took him to the side and asked him, "Where did you get all this time from?" So he told him everything honestly from the beginning until the game gambling. Without introduction, took all the time he had and reserved it, leaving him only 2 hours. In my opinion, my dear, I noticed that this policeman hates the poor unnaturally. The important thing is that when Will found himself at stake and he had 2 hours and he would die, he ran quickly and kidnapped Sylvia and went outside the palace. The policeman hurried to chase him, but Will was good at driving well, so he was able to escape from him. While escaping on the road, the gang had set a trap to catch them, so by mistake he fell in the trap and their car overturned. He and Sylvia fainted. After a while, when Will and Sylvia woke up, they found that their time was running out. They ran quickly to go to his owner, who gave him 10 years at the beginning. But when he arrived home and asked about his wife, she told Lowell that his owner had died because he kept wasting time and buying many unnecessary things. He did not pay attention to Umrah until he found himself running out of time and died. Meanwhile, Will noticed that he had only 3 minutes left to die, so he hurried to take an earring made of Sylvia's gold and sold it for 2 days, thus saving himself a little time to decide what to do. And when Will found himself in both cases losing, so he called Philip Abu Sylvia and asked him for 1,000 years in exchange for getting his daughter back, and even asked that the transfer process be done to the bank located in the poor neighborhood. And for your information, this bank gives time to people who do not have it, And certainly the officer was present every this talk next to Philip. After that, Will went to his rental house to rest and not to be found by the police. And after all this threat, even after the kidnapping, Sylvia was very kind and she really loved Will. The next day, Will knew that the conversion process had not taken place, and this means that Philip did not send the 1,000 years of the video, so he gave Sylvia a gun and told her to go talk to your father from a public phone, and he kept watching her from afar. And in the meantime, Silikia looked behind her to see Will, and if the officer was trying to kill him, she quickly shot the policeman to protect Will. Meanwhile, Will was sure that Philip would not give him money, so he decided to take advantage of the police car and started rioting and stealing the money of the rich, leaving them only one day so that they could live. And Sylvia liked the subject very much because she had not felt the life of the poor before. And when Will found that the situation became dangerous, he asked her to go back to her home, but she refused and decided to continue the journey with him. Will's business did not depend on robbing rich people from the streets, but he went with Sylvia to rob Philip's banks and took a large amount of time from him and began distributing it to the poor. And when I heard the time gang called ANCAB, she became looking for to take from him all the time. And while they were inside the neighborhood, a person told the gang that he had seen them in a hotel near them, and the gang went there and managed to arrest Will, but the gang leader challenged Will's arm, and that was a competition for whoever could hold the other's arm more takes all the time. And Will was a professional in this wrestling. He defeated the gang leader and took all his life from him. Then he killed all the gang members and took Sylvia and fled. Will went to rest a little and calm down from the events that took place. Then he noticed that what he was doing did not affect much on the financial markets, so he decided to strike his big blow by stealing Philip's time safe, which contained 1,000,000 years. And indeed Sylvia managed to hide Will among the guards' security, and they were able to reach the safe and steal all the time and escape. It is because of the repeated thefts, the financial markets witnessed an abnormal decline that had not happened before. So Riem tried to deal with the issue and started looking for Will to catch him as quickly as possible. And when he found him, he shot him. But Will was riding in a bulletproof car, so he escaped from them easily. And indeed, Will was able to depositing 1,000,000 years in the bank located in the poor neighborhood. And during Ray's attempts, he did not notice his watch and it was about to run out. And indeed the time has expired and he has died. And after all that happened, Will and Sylvia noticed that they had a few minutes left and they would die. So he remembered that the police car had a time storage device. So he hurried to search for it. And indeed he found it. And they took enough time and completed their plan. And thus Will and Sylvia were able to change the condition of the people and radically change the financial markets and the global economy of the state. And all the poor have enough time to do whatever they want. Will and Sylvia completed the massive robberies and took over the largest banks in the country. And so, my friend, the movie ended. But I would like to explain to you how much information there is that all the ideas in the movie such as age control or suicide, etc. all of these details are incorrect and it is just a fantasy for entertainment, not more. Only, my dear, if you like the video, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next video.